So I went to the Mike Tyson fight last night, and apparently I didn't miss anything because the show was on Netflix.
What's your prediction?
Vicious win.
Vicious win. Thank you, Dad.
Love you.
Love you too.
Well, I didn't get to see Mike Tyson's ass, but I did have a good time at the fight. Regardless, I'm still making this video that I promised from yesterday about David Grusch. Now, who is David Grusch? If you don't know, right, he is the whistleblower that testified at the July 2023 hearings, right, testifying to UFOs, crashed UFOs, bodies, right, the whole nine, right, an entire investigation that would lead them to the whole kit and caboodle, right, the entire thing. And where have we been since then, right? Since he made that testimony over a year ago, well over a year ago, where are we since then? Because at this new hearing that they had, we had some issues, right? So let me play a clip of Tim Burchett talking about David Grusch and see if you hear what I hear. See if you hear. Let's see if you hear what I hear. How do I say that? Anyway, play the clip.
Eventually, we're going to have to get David Grusch into a skiff. We've got to figure out a way around that. They blocked us every avenue, and I think that I would like to see a couple of those folks in the skiff, gloves off, so they can tell us everything they know. And then I think you would see a lot more people in Congress become believers, if you will, because there's still a lot of them that doubt any of it. They joke about it, and they joke with me about it. And, Burchett, I can't believe you're dealing with this, but the reality is we're spending tens of millions of dollars on something that the federal government says does not exist.
Now, some people are going to be like, Patrick, what's the problem? Well, I don't know. Did you hear what I heard? Because can't get David Grusch in a skiff. It's been 16, 17, 18 months. I don't even know. It's been, a long time, right? And even to this day, they still have not gotten David Grusch in a skiff. Now, why are they, Tim Burchett, saying that? Because if you remember at the hearing, that was brought up so many times last year in July of 2023, right? Skiff, 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 skiff.
I have to be careful asking that question. I directed people with that knowledge to the appropriate authorities.
Maybe if we could get in a confidential area skiff, we could talk about that. But unfortunately, we were denied access to the skiff, and that's very unfortunate in this scenario.
I can't discuss that publicly, but I did provide that information both to the Intel committees and the Inspector General.
And we could get that in the skiff if we were allowed to get in a skiff with you. Would that be probably what you would think?
Sure, if you had the appropriate accesses, yeah.
And was this documentary evidence, this video, photos, eyewitness? Like, how would that be determined?
The specific documentation I would have to talk to you in a skiff about.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So, and you may or may not be able to answer my last question, and maybe we get into a skiff at the next hearing that we have, but who in the government, either what agency, sub-agency, what contractors, who should be called into the next hearing about UAPs, either in a public setting or even in a private setting? And you probably can't name names, but what agencies or organizations, contractors, et cetera, do we need to call in to get these questions answered, whether it's about funding, what programs are happening, and what's out there?
I can give you a specific cooperative and hostile witness list of specific individuals that were in those.
And how soon can we get that list?
I'm happy to provide that to you after the hearing.
Super. Thank you. And I yield back.
So they just bring up skiff. We'll get you in a skiff. We'll talk about it in a skiff. Don't worry. After the hearing, we'll get in a skiff and everything will be solved. Well, that didn't happen, right? So what do we do about this new hearing when people sort of said the same thing?
If we were in a secure setting, if we were in a skiff, would you be able to provide or get access to something, whether it's a visuals or material that we could put our hands on, or biologics that would convince me, that would show me that we have non-human origins?
Sir, that decision would not be mine. That would be to the gatekeeper still in the U.S. government.
And who would we, so if you were in our shoes, where would you go from here? How would you get that information? A lot of times we just don't know who to ask because we don't know where to go next. So if you were in our shoes, where would you go?
Well, I prefer to answer that question in a closed session. However, we established Arrow for that very purpose, and unfortunately, under its previous leadership, it failed. So one would hope that they would have the authorities necessary to do that. Let's hope that this new iteration of leadership will be successful.
So how much confidence does that give me that they're going to do anything about this moving forward because of this hearing? Because they didn't do anything from the last hearing, right? And I'll get more into that in just a second. I've got quite a few things to say about all of this. I'm just trying to lay it all down. Now, up until this point, you may be thinking, well, wait a second, Pat, what is a skiff anyway, right? What does that mean? Why is it so important? Well, this is what a skiff is. A skiff is a U.S. government accredited facility where sensitive compartmented information can be stored, discussed, or electronically processed. Primarily government and government-related contractors that require high security have the need for skiffs. So, all right, they need a place to talk about this stuff classified. All right, I get it. But maybe not. Because if you notice in the clip with Lou Elizondo there, he says, I can say this in a closed session. So why don't they have a closed session to maybe discuss some of this so that they don't, you know what I mean? They don't have to worry about it. Maybe there's a way around it. But anyway, it's just a little disappointing, right? To say the least, because, again, one of my biggest disappointments about this hearing was that they didn't really follow up about David Grusch, right? What's the point of having all of that and then not doing anything? But, you know, during the hearing, they did kind of mention it, and I'm not going to lie. It's disappointing what was said.
AARO has expressed to the committee that, like any other federal government agency, it's faced challenges in its establishment, specifically in hiring staff to manage UAP historical records and coordinating with other federal agencies. While these agencies have been helpful to us in understanding the challenges that come from collecting UAP data, none of them have been able to substantiate the claims made at this hearing last year by David Grusch. Despite our committee members endlessly questioning these agencies inside and outside of a skiff, I hope our witnesses today will be able to provide evidence and content that is worthwhile to our pursuits of eliminating government waste and increasing transparency. To help alleviate some of the roadblocks, I'm supportive of measures that were included in last year's National Defense Authorization Act to increase transparency and improve record-keeping measures when it comes to UAPs. But I believe there's still more work to go. I co-led the Safe Airspace for Americans Act with Ranking Member Garcia, which requires the Federal Aviation Administration to develop procedures to collect UAP data from civilian aviators.
All right, so basically, what is my problem, right? You're probably asking, Patrick, what's your problem? Why is this such a big deal? Well, you may, during the time of watching this video, may have, come to the same thoughts and conclusions I have, which is, how can we be confident that anything will come of these hearings? It's almost just like a show, like it's basically just for show to promote books and companies and things like that. I heard people saying, oh, well, the hearings, got more people involved, right? It gets the normies, normal people involved, gets them interested in the topic. Okay, that's great and all, but that's not what congressional hearings are for. These aren't propaganda pieces to get people interested in a topic. Are we going to see a hearing on, like, pickleball? You know what I mean? That's not what these hearings are for, to get people interested in topics. They are to activate Congress, right? Witness testimony. It is for Congress to activate and start doing something. Right? It's not for Joe Schmo to be like, oh, I want to get into UFOs. That's not what these hearings are for. Now, if that's a byproduct, fine. But the main goal is to activate Congress, right? To either turn them on to something that they want to look more into, which in turn is tax dollars, right? That's what it's for. It's to get them to spend more money on something, looking into something, passing legislation, you're right, uncovering this global cover-up or whatever. That's what it's for. And when you hear a lot of the congressmen's and congresswomen's reaction to the hearing, it's not good. I mean, you had Luna saying like, okay, great and all, but like, we're not here to talk about books, right? Referencing Lou Elizondo. You had Burleson being like, yeah, we heard all this before. Like, what are we doing now? You know what I mean? And then you even have Burchett calling the hearings bogus. Now, he didn't necessarily mean bogus, but he just means that they're not fruitful. He's not saying anything about the witnesses. It's just, this is pointless, right? So I'm just so disappointed to hear about the David Grusch thing, right? Tim Burchett saying that about David Grusch in the skiff. They still haven't gotten him in skiff, which, again, you have to start asking the question, well, how hard did you try to get him in a skiff? How many attempts were made? And what exactly was stopping you, or who was stopping you? You can't just say the gatekeepers. What does that mean? Right? We need facts. We need details. We need to know what is going on, right? This push for transparency, literally cloaked in darkness. Like, it makes no sense. So I personally am deeply disappointed that we have done nothing about David Grusch's investigation, and none of that can really be proven. Then what are we doing, right? What is the point of this? I think before we have the next hearing like this, changes need to be made before you even have the hearing. Otherwise, it is literally just so people can go up and promote themselves and things they have going on. Because just going up and saying UAPs are real, you mean things that are unidentified are real? What does that mean? Nothing. It literally means nothing, but it sounds good. It's a good sound bite. But we're not here for sound bites, are we? What are we here for? I think they just think we're just going to take it and not say anything. I, for one, am not like that. I know a lot of people are not as well. Now, you may very well be okay and looking at the positive, and I appreciate that. Right? I can appreciate all the different perspectives, opinions about this, and wanting to see it half glass full and phenomenal. We need people like that too. But we also need people saying, this ain't enough. Right? Glass half full, glass half empty. I don't have a glass of anything. So it just gives me no hope for anything future we do, right? If we haven't even followed up on David Grusch, why are we even starting again? Like, what's the point of that? If we haven't even finished what we started, we should finish David Grusch's investigation and then more hearings or something. I'm just like, this goes nowhere. Right? I just don't know where we're going with this and what is the point. So, I don't know. I'm hopeful about what we can do, but not from a government perspective, right? Just the average person like you and me. We're the ones to really push this forward, if I'm being honest, right? Real stories from real people, right? Personal experiences, not influenced by anyone from the government, right? And to be honest, everything's falling apart behind the scenes. You had Jeremy Corbell and his thing with the 12th missing document and confronting or saying something to Nancy Mace in the courtroom or whatever. Not courtroom, but you know what I mean, where they're having the hearing right there in front of everybody. And then you have Lou Elizondo's lawyer coming out yesterday too, talking all kinds of smack about Danny Sheehan, Carl Nell. I'm not going to get into any of that, to be honest with you. Allegedly, I'll just say that, it's saying those things. I mean, he tweeted it out. Right? He tweeted some stuff out that was not so kind. He was insinuating Carl Nell. He didn't name him, but he did name Danny Sheehan and other people. Things are just unhinged, to be honest with you, with a lot of these people behind the scenes. And we're just left here like, it's like the Tyson fight, right? It's literally what it is. It's just all hype. Then when you get there, you see the actual fight, and you're like, This is it? This is all the training and lead up was for? I mean, the best show we got was Mike Tyson's ass. Right? I mean, I laughed so hard seeing that, which in person, live at the fight, we didn't see that because they didn't show anything like that there. So I saw that afterwards. But, I mean, it's kind of what it is. This is all just hype. And when are we going to get around that? Right? When are we going to get to something? I mean, you have Nancy Mace selling T-shirts, Mace ships, and other people just selling merch and like, I don't know. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I'm underthinking it. You know, maybe I'm thinking about it just right, right? Is this the Goldilocks zone, as they call it? I don't know. All I do know is just my gut. It feels lackluster, right? It feels completely deceptive. Just like if you see a balloon, right? You think, oh, that's a big round object, but it's just full of air. It's nothing, right? Pop a balloon and it just becomes nothing. I mean, it's just, where are we at, y'all? Where are we at and what are we doing and what are we going to do moving forward? How can private citizens do something? Because clearly leaving it up to Congress is, I don't know if it's working. So anyway, y'all tell me what you think in the comments. Would love to know. Hit me with it, right? Let's go. Be real. Give me your real opinion. I want to hear it. It's okay. Do you support it? You're frustrated? Whatever. You're allowed your opinion. All right. So look forward to that. We'll see you guys on tomorrow's video. Remember, y'all, every day is a gift. Enjoy it. Peace.
I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep.